Tip number 2 on how to effectively use the Share Your Faith app is this. Ask questions to find out where people are on their spiritual journey. If you were to ask somebody, where are you in your spiritual journey? That's a very awkward question. They don't know exactly what you mean. They don't think in those terms. And so it makes them uncomfortable. So I never use that question anymore. What I do is I found 3 questions that help me get a feel for where people are in their spiritual journey. Here's the first question. It's, when I think of you, how do you want me to pray for you? Now, it's a very affirming question to ask because it tells the person I do think about them. And when I think about them, I'm willing to invest into their life by praying for them. But it's not invasive because I'm asking them to tell me how they would like me to pray. So that is a good question for Christians, for non-Christians, for people close to God, for people far away from God. It really works. And they go remarkably deep when they answer those questions. I'm always surprised. Second question I use when people have shared with me that they're going through a struggle, some life situation that's very difficult, a stress area in their life. And so I would say something like, I am really sorry to hear that. I will pray for you. Have you been praying? Or do you pray? And so I'd ask that question, and their response would give me a read on their openness to God. The third question I would ask is, what is your church background? I don't ask what church do you go to, or how often do you go to church, or anything like that. That's too invasive. I say, what is your church background? That's how their parents raised them. That's how they are brought up. And as they share that, then I ask questions to draw out to see where they are today. Those 3 questions are really powerful. It helped me get a read on their openness to God as to whether they're in the red zone. I've got a great story to illustrate this. I was at a doctor's office recently, and the nurse was very helpful, and she took me into the room to get me ready to see the doctor. I finally said to her, when I think of you, Terry, how do you want me to pray for you? Well, she looked up kind of in the corner of the room, she was thinking. I said, well, what is the biggest point of stress in your life? She said, my marriage. I said, well, can you give me another sentence on that? She said, my husband is bipolar and he doesn't take his medications. I said, oh, Terry, I'm so sorry to hear that. Do you have any children? Because that makes it worse. She said, yes, 5, 7, and 9. I said, Terry, I'm so sorry. You really need God to help you through this. You need his strength, you need his grace, you need his wisdom, you need his courage as to where to set boundaries, you need his constant capacity to keep on forgiving. You really can't go through this without God. Terry, what is your church background? She said, I don't have one. I said, I have an app that explains how to get closer to God. Would you like to see it? She said, yes. So I pulled out the app and I took her through it. She loved it. And when it got to the prayer, she wanted to pray, and I led her through the prayer, and she invited Christ into her life, and there were tears that were flowing. I took her through ESPN, and again, the security that she found in her relationship with Christ brought more tears to her eyes. It was really a very sweet experience. After I saw the doctor, I went out to the car, got a booklet, and to give to her to help her start growing. When I came back into the office, she was there sharing with the 3 other nurses what had just happened. And when I came in the room, the nurses turned to me and said, thank you so much for talking to Terry. We really appreciate it. Well, that really blessed me because that meant she had a support group right there at work of people she could share with on a spiritual level and get their support. Now, how did all that happen? It started with the question, when I think of you, how do you want me to pray for you? And it all led from there. God was with it, but you have to ask questions to find out where people are. That's a favorite one right there. God bless you.